Hey gang, it's JC and this is the Daily Dose for Thursday, March 10th, 2011, a combined venture with Mind Active in beautiful downtown Brentwood. Great archives at the top of the page, eye candy along the bottom. We have another good one today. Well, we had a very spirited show yesterday on the Big 550 KTRS as people came to the defense of the Parkway North female school teacher who about 15, 20 years ago did some porn movies and then was forced out of her job. Now, we have a delicate situation here because some friends of ours who work in the Parkway School District, including one very good friend of mine, who is working in the public relations department there, is trying to do her job and tell us that the woman was not forced out of her job. I ain't buying it, okay? It's one of those deals where, okay, so a student approaches the teacher and says, hey, is this you in the porn movies? And then practically overnight, she resigns, and we're supposed to believe that she wasn't forced out because of the issue. I'm sorry, that's just a little bit too much of a coincidence, and I understand that you're trying to do your job in the Public Relations Department of the Parkway School District, but I ain't buying it, and I don't think anybody else is either. So, sorry, but we ain't buying it. All right, what else we got here? So, on March 3rd, back in 2008, this guy by the name of Roger Kreitz, 54-year-old guy living in Crestwood, was at a Starbucks and he sees a teenager steal the tip jar. He goes after him. They have like this a chase. The guy falls down, hits his head, he dies. Okay, so the guy who stole the tip jar ends up getting he pleaded guilty to involuntary manslaughter, got a year in prison. So now on Monday, the guy who fell down and hit his head, the Good Samaritan, the guy who chased the guy down with the tip jar, is filing a lawsuit against Starbucks, saying that Starbucks invited the crime to happen by not properly securing their tip jar, and as a result of that, their client, Roger, died. Yeah. Okay. All right, what else we got here? Oh, the variable speed electronic signs on 270 that they put in about 2.5 years ago to try to get people to slow down, and they put the speed up there, how fast you're supposed to be going. Well, it turns out that MoDOT has determined that drivers are confused by those signs. And so in July, they're going to put up suggested speeds. We all know what the speed limit is. You put up those giant electronic signs. How many millions of dollars did MoDOT spend of taxpayer money to put up those signs without even knowing if they were going to have any impact, whether they were going to work, or whether there was any point in it in the first place? Welcome to Missouri. And now we hear that somebody's taking the Cheshire in, and I get a lot of people saying Cheshire. It's Cheshire, so that's problem number one. A lot of the newscasters mispronouncing it. But the guys who are rehabbing the place, and that's a good thing, nothing bad with that idea, trying to spruce the place up. But you always get these people on who say, we're going to turn it into a boutique hotel, a real boutique. Yeah, it's boo, not beau. It's boutique, not boutique. Man, oh man. Sometimes Missouri coming out. All right, Julianne Moore is going to play Sarah Palin in an upcoming HBO movie about the John McCain 2008 presidential campaign. They passed up Tina Fey here. This is obvious. Well, the other thing is, you know, Julianne Moore takes her shirt off in practically every movie. So probably not going to get a chance at seeing Sarah Palin naked, but you might there might be some reason for her to take her shirt off in the HBO movie. I'm in favor of that. Alyssa Milano. Okay, a couple of things about her. Very, very cute. As a matter of fact, I have to say that a lot of people say that my lovely wife, Triple C, bears a striking resemblance to Alyssa Milano. I'm down with that, as the kids say. All right, so that's cool. Number two, there are entire websites dedicated to the arm hair that Alyssa Milano has. She looks like she's got buckwheat in a headlock. I mean, they're really hairy arms. That's number two. And now number three, Alyssa Milano is pregnant right now with her first child. And she says that she's not nervous about it. This has got to be the quote of the year, and it's only March. She says a friend of the family recently told her not to worry because it's really hard to kill a baby. She says that made her feel a lot better. It's my nominee for quote of the year so far. American Idol results show tonight, and let's take a look at American Idol. Lauren, who sings the Shania Twain, she's the country person. I can't stand that song, and so I can't take her seriously. Casey, this is the kid with the beard who got sick a while back and they weren't even sure if he was going to make it. Sang Joe Cocker last night. I'm sorry, I don't get it. Ashton, this is the chick with the afro. Must have sounded better there than it did on my TV because people were jumping up and down. I didn't get it. Paul, the most annoying person on the show this year. He thinks he's like a cross between Sting and Kenny Loggins, and he just thinks he can get away with smiling all the time and doing these histrionics on stage, all these goofy dance moves. Boy, do I find this kid annoying. Pia, all right, great sort of traditional singer. Very, very good. Hit all the notes somewhat effortlessly. I'm not sure she's the winner, though. James, this is the guy who sang Maybe I'm Amazed. This is the kid who has mild autism and was living in squalor and the whole thing. I still think this kid has got to be the favorite. Haley sang Blue and yodeled during the whole song last night. I wanted to put my foot through the television. Jacob, the black kid, had a real strong finish last night, but really sort of screwed up in the middle of the song. Thea, good but dull. Stefano, don't get it. Karen, dull, don't get it. Scotty, that's the Randy Travis kid. He's really, really good, but I hate country music, so it doesn't do anything for me. And Naima, I don't get it. So if I'm voting right now, I say that the kid with the mild autism, James, who, as long as he doesn't push that voice of his, because he can hit all those notes in the, that only dogs can hear, but when he does it too much, that gets annoying too. Carrie Underwood is 28 today. So she goes from humble beginnings in rural Oklahoma to global superstardom, and now she's the wife of Mike Fisher of the NHL. So she came all that way just to marry a guy with no teeth anyhow, from Oklahoma to John Hamm, 40th birthday today. And I just want to mention this too. This book is very cool. See this thing? Sally Wade was George Carlin's girlfriend for the last 10 years of his life. And it turns out that Carlin was this incurable romantic and was always sending her all these love notes and, Post-its and messages and all this sort of stuff. And she put together what is, in essence, a scrapbook. And it's like all of these, it's all these love notes that he sent her. And it gives you a rare glimpse inside the mind of a very, very complicated guy who passed away a couple of years ago. That was one of our proudest moments on the air, by the way, because the day after George Carlin died, I had Lewis Black on. Lewis, considered to be George Carlin's protege, and George always said that he thought Lewis Black was probably the best comedian working these days. So that's number one. Number two, we had Dennis Blair on. Now, Dennis was George Carlin's opening act for 14 years and traveled with him. And plus, we dug up a bunch of old George Carlin interviews. And I sat in the basement. I sat in George Carlin's dressing room. He was waiting to go on stage. We had the 1,200 people sitting in the Westport Playhouse ready for his second show to start, The Late Show. But guess what was going on the TV in George's dressing room? The famous Kirk Gibson home run, Dennis Eckersley, Tony La Russa. Here's the swing. I can't believe what I just saw. Jack Buck with the play-by-play call. And George waited until that home run. They said, okay, let's go. Then I ran out on stage and introduced him. I have some very fond memories of George Carlin, including buying his very first album in 1967, Takeoffs and Put-Ons, recorded at the Rooster Tail in Detroit, Michigan. I was just a kid, I was like 15 years old or something, changed my life. But this book is called The George Carlin Letters, The Permanent Courtship of Sally Wade, by Sally Wade. We have her on the air this week on the Big 550 KTRS, and it's just really, really cool going back there and sort of seeing how that guy's mind works, because you don't get a chance to see stuff like that very often. And second to finally, the radio industry has been dismantled and just stomped on over the last couple of years. And it's all because roughly 2 years ago, the first new rating system in 50 years was implemented, and it's a complete sham. The whole thing is a joke. What used to happen by the Arbitron Company, that's the name of the ratings guys, is you got this little thing in the mail and you'd fill it out and you'd say what you listened to. And it had flaws, no question about it. So about 2 years ago, for the first time in it's the only revamping of the only rating system the entire radio industry uses. And we've only known two, the old one and the new one, which was implemented about 2 years ago. And basically what they did is they started giving people these little things that look like pagers, but they're clumsier than that, and you put them on your belt. And now what it's doing is it's measuring not what you're listening to, it's measuring what the little box is hearing. So you could be sitting in a restaurant, talking to somebody, sitting in a Subway shop or something, having a conversation, And if there's a radio on, it's saying that you're listening to that. Okay, if you're walking through a mall, it's saying that you're listening to the music that's coming out. It's a completely flawed system. And now we find out via the first comprehensive study, and this is only the first one, that the whole thing is even worse than we thought. You have to understand the entire industry has been thrown just into the sewer. It's been completely turned upside down. And one of the things they did is they told us, and they told me, that guess what? We always believed that in the morning that was the really, really big audience, and it turns out it's not. And so guess what? Get out of here. Which is sort of what they did to me and what they've done to a lot of other people. Well, it turns out you'll never guess. And I freaking knew it. And I knew it. But now it's been proven because they went back and they interviewed a bunch of these people who've been participating in this thing. By the way, the system is called PPM. You'll be hearing a lot about that in the upcoming days, weeks, and months. And so one of the things they found out is that when people get up in the morning, what you have to do is at the end of the day, you take the thing off your belt, you put it in this little docking station, much like a cell phone, some of those old cell phones. You put it in there, it recharges it, and then it uploads the information of what it listened to, what the box heard. It uploads that down a phone line back to the Arbitron company, and they sort of, collect all that information. Well, here's one of the things they found out. They found out that people were showering and shaving and running around and doing all sorts of stuff and everything. And then when they get ready to leave for work, they go over to the docking station and they grab their cell phone from it and they put it in their pocket, and then they take the little pager box out of the docking station and then they carry it with them after they leave for work. When would that be? That would be after they just spent 2 hours listening to their favorite morning radio show. But because they didn't have it out and functioning, the thing wasn't recording any of the information. So the entire broadcasting industry is trashing all these morning shows from sea to shining sea and taking people who had spent decades developing a following in morning radio by doing all the goofy stuff that we do. And they came along and they said, oh, the new rating system says nobody's listening. But they forgot to look at the fine print. They forgot to do their research. They forgot to have any idea what the F they were talking about. So now the question is, how long before the industry swings back in the other direction, realizes that they've made a mistake, and goes back to doing things the old way? I say never, because they're all so chicken shit, they're afraid to admit that they've made a mistake. That's all I got for today. JC's Eye Candy. Oh, I have more, though, because it's even funnier. Wait until you hear some of the other stupid stuff they found out in this report. I'll tell you some more tomorrow. It's unbelievable. What would a ceiling fan and the little box have to do with one another? There's a tease I'll tell you tomorrow. If you want to see the house that the American Idol kids are staying in while they're on the show, we have pictures, 3 very good pictures. It's on JC's Eye Candy, right below what you're looking at right now. In the meantime, that's it. JC's Daily Dose for Thursday, March 10th, 2011. A combined venture with Mind Active in beautiful downtown Brentwood. Radio managers who are watching this, do you feel stupid yet? Meantime, we've beaten this one to death. Have a good one. See you later. Bye.